This is Joe, recording.
What is it, though?
That's a very existential question, Kane. I'm not prepared to answer it.
Nor am I.
Very well, then. Welcome.
Carry on with the mission.
Carry on, my wayward son.
Welcome to Put Your
Carry
Block
on, my wayward son.
Welcome to Put Your Block
There'll be
Horror
peace
Podcast.
when you are done.
Are you fucking fucks done yet?
Can't stop, won't stop.
I mean, you can stop. You fucking will stop. We have protocols.
Yeah.
Protocols to follow.
Fine.
Forms to sign. Let's move this thing forward.
Welcome to Put Your Block Horror Podcast, where we
Hey,
examine
everybody.
horror movies from the past and cut into what makes them so delectable. I'm Kane.
I am JD.
And I am concerned, but also Joe.
Today, we're going to be throwing Spookies onto the slab and carving up JD and Joe's favorite portions to force feed to you, our unwitting victims.
Kane did not have a good
If you
time with this
enjoy the
movie.
taste of these feasts of fright, then give us a like and subscribe. Be sure to click the bell.
Yes.
I mean, if you want, you can go to our website, but honestly, we give you brainworms.com.
Yeah.
You know, after listening to this episode, you might be like, you know what, these fucking guys.
They'll
fucking
retreat.
guys.
These fucking guys. Anywho, it will let you get at our Patreon and our Discord, and you can send messages directly to us with the
Yeah.
yell at us button
Send JD a love letter.
on Instagram.
Or a gruesome photograph of a boil that's growing on your buttocks.
There's that too. Whatever. You know what, JD, why don't you give us a synopsis overview? Good fucking luck.
Yeah, I'm
this
gonna
movie
try.
barely
I'm
had
gonna
a plot.
try. It had some things going on, a few twisted elements, a few twists of fate. Okay, I'm gonna do my best here. An extremely old and creepy mansion becomes the grounds for a ritual.
It's not that old.
performing Sorcerer.
Yeah, it honestly seemed pretty well maintained.
Yeah, it's not that old, not that creepy.
It was pretty creepy.
I mean, somebody put plywood up over some transoms, all right?
Yeah. Hung a bunch of Halloween spider webs all over it.
I have great detail about the set, which is in fact an old mansion, and I'm going to get there, so don't force me into it prematurely. Let me just deliver the synopsis overview.
Oh my God, okay, fine. Give us the synopsis overview.
So yeah, an extremely old and creepy mansion becomes the grounds for a
See,
ritual
that's where
performing
you could, an
sorcerer
old mansion.
who
you know what? I'd be
unleashes
fine with.
ghouls,
But
monsters,
he says extremely old,
and
Joe.
just a
He
lot
said
of weird
extremely.
shit. And
Extremely old is like
an
1600.
unsuspecting
I think JD
visitors,
is just really good at
AKA
suspending his disbelief.
group of horny teenagers.
They weren't
Those
teenagers.
weren't teenagers at all.
Those
Those
people
actors
were
were like
definitely
30.
in their 30s.
They were adults, but I think they were portraying younger adults. They were for sure portraying younger
you're
adults.
taking the movie at what it's telling you instead of what it's showing you is what's happening here.
Yeah,
And it's not even what the movie's telling him, because those actors were telling us we're in our 30s.
if you read the
It's-
back of the DVD, that's
Exactly. That's what
So I'm going to go ahead and, for a second here, talk about the release of this film. It had
Did
three
you finish the
release
synopsis?
dates. Oh,
Yeah, he did. What else is he going to say, Joe?
I mean, you guys
Yeah.
just spoke over
Old
it.
dude,
so.
creepy mansion,
Yeah.
young people.
Two plots happening somewhat intertwined, but not really.
Not really at all.
But we're going to undertake the reason why in a bit. So it had three release dates, Spookies did. Initially released in France, May 14th of 1986, Hong Kong, January 8th of 1987, and then finally made its way to the United States, January 22nd of 1987, in a very limited theatrical release here in the States, mostly a
What?
VHS release.
There's no way
Yeah.
it was limited. No way.
And then Vinegar Syndrome, I forgot what year, but that's a pretty cool little horror film website. You could find some gems on there, and they actually re-released this film, and they even have I believe they helped to sort of put out a making of Spookies, so there's like this documentary about what the fuck happened with this movie, because
Oh, that's kind of
you
cool.
need the explanation. I've actually read that the explanation of how this became what it was is better than what it was. So,
well, I mean, we're not looking at a high bar there, JD.
Yeah.
yeah,
it's a low
the
standard
budget
of
for this
quality.
film, you can't find a breadcrumb about the budget. However, it grossed $17,785 at the box office.
You know what? Earn your money.
That was in the United States. It may have grossed more money, around the world, but
This movie didn't have international distribution.
Just told you.
it made its way around the world. It had 3 release dates. This film had a runtime of 85 minutes. And
About 30 minutes too long.
2 plots happening. There's a lot of reasons for that. It's kind of a sad story, an interesting story, shrouded in controversy and problems. There were a handful of directors involved. Originally directed by Brandon Faulkner and Thomas Duran.
Of Duran Duran?
Under the
Shut up,
film's
Jim.
original
Just
title,
shut up.
Twisted Souls. So yeah, this film, like I said, shrouded in controversy and all kinds of issues. The 2 directors I just named were part of an entirely separate crew who gathered a good deal of footage, and due to, like I said, financial issues and a whole other myriad of problems and trouble, the film was taken over by director Genie Joseph. Anyway.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and proceed by talking about the original crew of directors, a pair of filmmakers who were friends since childhood. That would be Brandon Faulkner and Thomas Duran. These 2 had a history of incomplete horror projects together. Imagine that. Seemed to be a mischievous pair, but I'd hang out with them.
Those scamps.
Yeah, sure are. One project in particular, titled Hellspawn, redirected their trajectory as the pair were introduced to British film distributor Michael Lee. Now, that name, hold that in your thoughts for a moment, because he happens to be a big part of the reason why the film Spookies is the clusterfuck it is today. Lee was in search of some filmmakers. He met the 2 and bartered a bit with them, saying that he may agree to bankroll the film Hellspawn, the horror project that the 2 directors were going to make, if the 2 would be willing to undertake an entirely new project titled Twisted Souls. So with the help of their special effects people and producer Frank Farrell, a friend of theirs as well, the group found themselves filming in Rye, New York, in the John Jay estate. Now, John Jay, as you know, one of the founding fathers, second governor of New York, authored the Treaty of Paris and the Federalist Papers. They started filming in 1984. This residence it is just like an enormous mansion, 24 rooms total, colonial-style mansion, if you will. Anyway, so kind of to get into who Faulkner and Duran are. Faulkner, he has some other horror credits as a director. Killer Dead in 1992. Also, he was a writer and producer of that film. Duran, also a producer. He was also a consultant for the film Witchboard 2. If you guys are familiar with the Witchboard series.
I'm familiar with the Witchboard movies.
I am not.
Yeah. So Duran was a producer for that. I believe he was uncredited, but then had a special thanks credited later somehow. Maybe on the DVD releases or something.
Sure.
Back to Spookies. Things blow up real bad between Michael Lee, Faulkner, and Duran. Lee would overly scrutinize the pair and was quoted as accusing Faulkner and Duran of slacking and pissing away his money. He basically shit-talked these guys and kind of did a bit of browbeating. Faulkner and Duran had accumulated 90 minutes of footage. The film was cut down for a variety of reasons, including ratings, to 85 minutes. Let's just say some very unkind words were exchanged between Lee and the team of Faulkner and Duran. And the pair found themselves cast from their own project, which by contract Lee had the right to do. He chose Genie Joseph. And she was one of few lady directors of that era. Joseph was born January 31st, 1956 in Long Island, New York. And Genie is best known for taking over Spookies and then a sci-fi comedy called Mindbenders in 1987. She later would go on to produce a horror film in 2008 called Heatstroke. So when Genie took on Twisted Souls, she had just left working as an editor for Trauma Films.
Nice.
And before that,
fun.
she did a bit of work in front of and behind the camera in the adult film industry.
So she is basically responsible for what we have now.
Yeah, she was like the glue, to paste the she did, have new footage shot. I believe the main footage, with all of the actual, the strongest bits of the special effects were all Faulkner and Duran's people. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to talk about them when we get into the special effects segment, but here's an interesting little tidbit I dug up on this film. So there are actually thongs sold as film memorabilia for Spookies on Cafe Press.
Wait, what?
You can get yourself a Spookies-themed thong.
Did you buy one?
I'm wearing one now.
Nice. Hey, hit up that Patreon if you want some JD thong photos.
Side dong pics?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Showing off his bulge.
It will titillate you. So, if Joe would be so kind as to talk about the writers.
Yeah, I'll do that. As discussed, this movie was a clusterfuck and a half. Like, it was basically two movies that were glued together. And I couldn't really parse in the research I did, like, who was responsible for what.
And the glue was weird.
So I'm just going to kind of treat it like a collective and just go over everyone that was involved. There were 4 credited writers. Thomas Duran and Brendan Faulkner, the directors and producers, got writing credits. I think they were pretty well covered by JD, which I would also like to be. What?
Nothing.
Okay.
That was the sound Kane makes when he forms an erection.
Forms like Voltron?
You got to ask him.
That's a weird place to go with that.
I'm going to talk about writers, if that's okay.
Yeah, please do.
And also Anne Bergend and Frank M. Farrell were credited as writers for this film. Anne Bergend was credited as a writer, costume, set, and production designer on Spookies. It seems like everybody was doing a little bit of everything.
Yeah, everyone had like multi-hats.
Yeah. She got her start working as an editor on Sesame Street in its first 5 years. And then after that, she kind of disappears. Like, there's not a lot of information available.
Yeah.
Other than that, she worked on Spookies and was a producer on the Mask, the Jim Carrey movie.
Oh, wild.
Yeah, she got a producer credit for that, and Spookies and Sesame Street. And I don't know what the fuck else this person may have done.
What a collection.
I know, right? And then Frank M. Farrell, the other credited writer, is just a research black hole. There's no information. I don't know where he's from. I don't know what he did. Other than that, he was credited as a writer, production manager, and producer on Spookies, and a producer on Hell of the Screaming Dead and Street Trash, which apparently are horror films.
Yeah. Street Trash is pretty well known.
Okay, I'm not familiar with it.
Yeah, it's held in high regard among the horror community.
Right on. And also he was credited as an actor in Street Trash and Igor and the Lunatics. I don't know. That's that guy.
Yeah.
This was a weird movie to do research on.
Yeah. It
really
sucked.
Yeah.
Let's just say it was parallel to the quality of the film.
Sure.
Yeah, no, I could see that as being a way of describing
I don't disagree, yeah. And I guess I can tell you about some cinematographers if you want.
The cinnamon gorgographer?
It wasn't great.
No, the camera work was all over the shop. Again, I think a lot of that was maybe the chaotic nature of the film. They just kind of had to point cameras at stuff and hope for the best, maybe.
Yeah. How do we make this nauseating?
Yeah, but a lot of the cinematography, especially toward the end, was very shaky. It made my stomach very upset. None of it was inspiring cinematography. At best, it was functional.
Right.
The camera is looking at the thing that the viewer is supposed to see and holding still and keeping that thing in frame.
For the most part.
Was really the best you could expect from the cinematography in this movie.
It's true. And that didn't happen the whole time.
It didn't happen consistently, no. There were 2 cinematographers, again, probably because it was 2 fucking movies.
And I want to say, because we keep talking about the fact that it was 2 movies,
Yeah.
neither of those movies were very good.
No. If anything, if it had just been allowed to be the movie that it started, well, no, it probably still would have sucked, I think.
Yeah,
I think if it were Twisted Souls from start to finish, and they were allowed to compile the total of footage that they had sought out to, that they may have been able to seam together some type of plot based off of the story of the sorcerer and his apprentice and his, the bride that he aimed to rejuvenate with the blood of the living. I think that was kind of like implied, but there wasn't really like a rejuvenation of her happening. It was like she sprung back to life and immediately rejected him.
Yeah, and then she was just another character who was trying to escape the house.
And I think the part where Genie Joseph or Eugenie Joseph came into play, I believe she then threw in the storyline of Billy, the sad birthday boy who runs away from home thinking that his birthday was forgotten, finds this mansion, somehow in his brain links together the possibility of his family actually remembering his birthday and deciding to throw him a surprise party. But really, that was just the magic of the sorcerer.
Right.
And then...
pretty odd.
Yeah, very, very odd. And then the werecat buries him alive. Poor little fucker.
Very shallowly buries him alive.
Shallowly buried. And Billy didn't struggle much. I mean, his will to live was somewhere between the three of ours.
I think he knew he was in Spookies.
Yeah.
He knew
was
he
it.
was in
Yeah,
Spookies,
he wanted out
and he
of
was
Spookies
like,
as fast
yeah,
as he
I'm
could.
done. Fucking sign me out.
Yeah.
Exit this film in the next 30 seconds, my career will be over. So I'm just going to let this werecat bury me alive.
Yep.
Oh, for the best. But yeah, there were cinematographers apparently.
A couple of them, right?
Yeah, a couple of them. One of whom was fairly reputable. I don't know what the fuck was going on with this. Aside from just the point, let's get this shit finished and mopped up so that we can not have to be associated with Spookies anymore. The 2 credited cinematographers were Ken Kelsch and Robert Chappell. And Ken Kelsch is a real cinematographer based on the research that I've done. He's a cinematographer and actor born in Brooklyn, New York. His father apparently taught him the basics of photography and film development, and then died when he was pretty young, leaving him to help care for his mother and 3 sisters. He initially studied to become a priest before leaving to join the special forces, the Green Berets in Vietnam.
Holy shit.
Right? That's a weird turnabout. I guess it's not that weird.
That's life and death.
Yeah. He came back from Nam and he did kind of manual labor jobs until he saved up enough to pursue his actual dream, which was to go to the NYU Film School. And he kind of did his own like independent small student films and worked his way up to become a real cinematographer.
It's almost as if like John Rambo had come home from war to then attend, school to become a cinematographer.
Yeah.
Instead of like blowing up convenience stores and like fucking up Brian Dennehy.
Right. If John Rambo had also wanted to be a priest.
Yes, there's that.
Which has the potential to be an interesting action movie. But yeah, he got his way into professional cinema where he has 59 credits in film and television going from 1979 to 2018, including TV and, documentaries, all the shit. His horror credits include Last House on the Left, which is a classic.
Yep.
The Driller
Classic
Killer?
exploitation.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But it's well respected in the horror film community. Don't Go in the House, which is not grammatical. And a vampire film called Addiction from 1992. That's an early Christopher Walken friend of the podcast.
Sweet.
One of his early films. And looks pretty cool. I might check it out on my own time.
I loved Christopher Walken as the
Christopher
Hessian
Walken,
in Sleepy Hollow.
friend of the podcast.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah. And then the other cinematographer, Robert Chappell, he's a writer-director born in 1952. Not a lot of information to be dug up about him because this movie's a black hole.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
It's the void that stares back into us.
Right. He mostly did documentary work. Spookies is his only horror credit. Whatever.
He can get fucked.
Yup.
Now I'm curious, which line of cinematographers was with Faulkner and Duran and who was with Genie Joseph. Because
Yeah, I couldn't find that. I dug around for it.
Yeah, same.
And I couldn't really find who did what when.
maybe we have a brilliant listener out there with some intel that can support us in the comments section.
Or there's a good possibility, I'm just putting it out there, that JD, you are one of the only people that even knew this movie existed.
Or cares.
Possible.
It might be that.
See, I'm a fan of prosthetic horror effects,
Sure.
and I felt that they prevailed as the shiny diamond of this film.
Yeah, the special effects were the best thing in this movie. But yeah, if you've got like the back issue of Fangoria magazine.
There's no way this movie was in Fangoria.
It absolutely was. John Dodds is like a well-renowned special effects artist in horror and was, featured in Fangoria. And there is an episode floating around out there with the image of the Spider-Woman.
Okay, the Spider-Woman, I could see that showing up in
It
Fangoria.
absolutely was in one of the episodes. I can't name the number episode, but it was 100% in Fangoria.
That would make sense. Yeah, because those magazines had at least some standards.
Right.
Not a lot, but they had some. And most of the monsters from this movie, maybe the Spider-Woman and Grim Reaper and possibly the Werecat.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Grim Reaper was like, you could find that at Party City in 2021.
The Grim Reaper sucked.
Yeah.
You could find almost everything that was in this movie at Party City except for the Spider-Woman.
Yeah, that was a gelatinous, gooey mess with hella prosthetic animatronic bits.
That's where the entire budget went.
Yeah.
Because they sure as shit didn't pay any of the people that were acting in this film.
Maybe that's why the producer was like, "Oh, you're spending all my money," because they were dumping it into special effects.
Yeah, Michael Lee, he was more of like the financial backer, and
Sure.
he was very sore over the direction that Faulkner and Duran were going with it. So, and I don't, it's difficult to find the details. Now, I didn't want to
Right.
just go and watch the making of it and then regurgitate it all here on this podcast. I'm suggesting that our listeners find that bit of info and take that down, and then also watch the film and kind of, piece that together. This is
If you
Maybe
dare.
you don't
dare.
watch this movie. Like maybe if you're kind of stoned and you just want to laugh with your
Dude,
friends.
if you are stoned, absolutely watch this movie.
Oh yeah.
You'll probably have a good time.
You'll have a fucking great time if you're
See, you
stoned.
should have got stoned, Kane.
Or
That's-
if you're having a drinking game.
that would be fun too.
Yeah, I could see some fun drinking games coming out of Spookies.
I was playing a drinking game over here while we were watching it, and it worked out for me.
But that's all I have to say about writers and cinematographers.
Are you guys ready for an extensive and detailed and comprehensive list of information about the actors in this film?
Do I need to hit you with the smelling salts first? Are you with it? Are you good?
Oh,
Yeah, at least you stayed awake for this one.
that's all the cocaine
Oh, nice.
I was ingesting.
If looking up the actors was anything like the research that I did, I'm sure it was very unpleasant to get to dig through.
Are you guys ready for this?
Yeah, let's go.
All right, so
Am I ready?
Felix Ward as Creon, the creepy old dude.
Sure.
He doesn't exist. Dan Scott as Creon Servant.
The cat guy was just called Creon Servant?
Yep.
Good.
That would be a fucking sick band name.
Creon Servant, yeah.
I mean, I guess if you didn't know who Creon was.
Or if you did know who he was and you like doom metal.
He was in some westerns and some other things like that, but I know nothing about him.
Sure.
I don't know where he's from, I don't know shit about him, and I don't care.
Right.
You don't know his favorite color, the size of his
No, I
boxer
don't know any of
briefs.
that stuff.
No.
Alec Nimzer, I think they did remember my birthday. That's
Yeah.
Billy.
Poor little guy.
Nothing.
His career was shattered by
Nothing.
this film.
Yeah, he's probably a retired car salesman or something by now.
Ugh.
AJ Lowenthal, Pat Wesley Bryan, Peter Dane, Nick Giant, Lisa Friede.
This is the extent of
and
the
Joan Ellen
information. You just
Delaney.
have their
Hold
names.
Hold on. Stop. Stop. All of those folks,
Mhm.
nothing.
They have names.
This is the only movie they did, and there's nothing about what they did before.
Well, at
this
least
movie.
we've named
Good.
them. That's fine. That's effort.
Like, I mean, I
Yeah,
guess.
they have names. That's
And then we have Kim Merrill, Charlotte Alexandra.
again all part of civilization at one point in time.
Yeah, Anthony Valbrio. I will say this. So I did find out, I don't know anything about her birthday or any of that shit, right? But Charlotte Alexandra was the British lady, Adrienne. She actually did a bunch of softcore porn.
Nice.
And she actually starred in a movie called Emmanuel.
I'm here for that.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with Emmanuel.
Oh, yeah, dude. Those were definitely in the spank bank as a teenager. They were on Cinemax all the time. So that was entertaining to find out. I know nothing else about her. That's it. She was in a controversial movie in the 70s, and it was controversial because she played the role of a 14-year-old, even though she was not a 14-year-old.
She was like 37.
No, she was like 20.
Oh, okay.
Showing her vajayjay very up close and detailed.
Oh, good.
A very
Yowzers.
sexually exploitative movie.
Yeah.
It ruffled a lot of feathers.
Yeah.
Understandably.
That's not the suggestion you want to make in a film.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a bad look.
No, you don't want to suggest that you're 14.
You don't want to do that. That's not.
But yeah, so Anthony Valbrio, Al Magliochetti, James M. Glenn. Nothing. I got nothing on this.
Up and vanished like a fart in the wind.
Yeah, they never existed. They only existed long enough for Spookies to be made and then fucking just disappeared.
Right.
But there are two. I've got. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
You're not ready for this.
All we are is dust in the
Maria
wind.
Pachucas was Isabel. That's the lady that was being trapped by the creepy old dude.
Mm-hmm.
She was born November 22nd, 1966 in Washington, D.C. Passed away February 1st, 2017.
Son of a bitch. How?
She was known for Spookies in a movie called Carmilla about a vampire that wakes up and enters into a lesbian relationship with an aristocrat's daughter.
Damn, she did a lot of waking up in movies.
It's a good point.
Yeah.
She was not Carmilla. She just starred in that movie, Carmilla.
Sure.
Fair
she
enough.
was not the vampire.
I wasn't even wondering if she was, but thanks for clarifying.
Next, we've got Peter Lasilio Jr.
Yeah.
And he was born in White Plains, New York on March 27th, 1953. And his horror credits are Day of the Dead, the original, Street Trash, Spookies, Skin Deep, and Saint Bernard.
Okay.
Nice. There was a lot of overlap with those films in this film.
So this guy was the comedian guy.
He wasn't funny.
No.
I mean, what the fuck were you expecting?
His act was raw. It was unrefined. That hand puppet was just abysmal.
Yeah. Really, all of the characters in this movie were deeply unlikable.
Yeah. Well said.
You want to know about the music?
No, but tell us anyway.
Do you guys want to know about the score?
Sure.
I mean, if you have to.
He does.
The music was by James Calabrese and Kenneth Higgins.
Okay.
Way to drop the ball, fuckers.
It was very inconsistent.
What do you mean?
The music. So, like, sometimes it was inconsistent in a fun way. Like, there was one moment where, when the fist fight was happening, that it reminded me of the 1960s Batman show, and that was fun.
And through the opening credits, it was almost even like something you would expect to find in a Lucio Fulci film.
Yeah.
Right.
And then we were quickly educated.
Yeah.
Like, we came into the Spookies, Joe and I at least, came into Spookies ignorant. But we walked away from it knowing it was not a Lucio Fulci film.
No, clearly not. No.
That's all I got. That's it.
That's fair. Well, I guess I can elaborate more on the special effects team because that's where this film shines.
I mean, shines is a strong word.
Exactly. It's the only remotely shiny thing.
So I'm going to go ahead and use the word shines because in 1984, certain prosthetic effects were still in their, infancy. They were being developed. I'm not going to say that there was groundbreaking material here, but that Spider-Woman was a strong horror effect. I mean, that was a prosthetic animatronic.
This does not make the special effects in this whole movie shine. There's this one shiny thing in this movie.
There were a couple of moments that I thought were pretty cool.
So the main overseer of this in terms of special effects, I'm going to go ahead and just gush for a moment about John Dodds, born December of 1948 in New Jersey. best known as a master of disguise and horror makeup and prosthetic special effects.
Would you say he was a master of puppets?
Master of puppets, yeah, he was pulling the strings.
Nice, nice.
Yeah. He has numerous horror credits, beginning in 1982 with the film Night Beast. Have either of you seen Night Beast?
Hell no.
Now I'm going to go on this fucking tirade of listing horror films that John Dodds was involved in because...
You're just going to remind us of better horror movies.
It's possible.
Yeah. So Night Beast looks very similar to the Mer Monsters.
Okay.
Which I liked. I thought that the fish monster was amazing. And I want that puppet.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, the fish monsters were great. So here's what I'm saying, right? The fish monsters were good. They were fun.
Fish monster.
There was 2 of them.
Oh, there was 2 of them?
Were there 2? I only was aware of one.
I think you're thinking of the farting mudmen in the basement.
No, because she killed one of them.
She killed one of them. Okay.
Yeah, with the shelf.
Yeah, it squished and all the blood came out. Yeah.
Right.
Is that an armoire? Is that what that is?
An armoire.
An armoire?
Chifferobe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who cares? What I'm saying is that she killed one of the fuckers, and then another one popped up and did some work on her.
Okay, so right there, I was so bored with what that scene delivered.
Yeah, I didn't pick up on that either.
Yeah, I was like, okay, there's one. She took care of it. I thought she did a good job of handling that situation. I don't know that I could have done any better.
I do want to say, though, that as far as prosthetic effects and whatnot,
Yeah.
as you gush about this movie that was made in 1984.
I'm gushing over the work of John Dodds, to be clear.
That's fine. I'm just saying Dawn of the Fucking Dead was 1978.
Okay. I mean, that's a classic. I mean, there's no doubt that is an absolute classic. But was there a Spider-Woman transformation in that film that was awesome? I don't think so. I don't remember one. So
and the beating heart was cool.
Yeah, the empty vessel, the chest with the...
Yeah.
Go ahead and watch Spookies, people. Kane's just he's being a bitter camper tonight.
I'm sorry, JD. We keep interrupting.
No, it's fine. Somebody needs to just tickle Kane with a big feather or something.
I mean, I got something big I can tickle him with, but it's not going to be a feather.
I don't hate this film as much as I didn't enjoy it. Like, it wasn't fun. I didn't have a good time, except for the fact that those little shining parts you're talking about,
yeah,
those were in it.
Yeah.
But nothing in this movie shines. There's just a little bit of sheen on some of the stuff that's in it.
Just like a coating of Vaseline.
Yeah. There's just like a thin sheen of Vaseline on the spider lady and the merfish thing puppet.
Well, I'm sure you're very aware of what a thin sheen of Vaseline appears to how it looks. Anyway, John Dodds was involved in a horror film in the special effects department called The Deadly Spawn in 1983, Spookies in 86, My Demon Lover in 87, Poltergeist 3 in 88, Black Roses also in 88, Ghostbusters 2 in 89.
Dude,
now keep in mind
Black Roses is so fucking good.
Then why aren't we talking about that one tonight?
Yeah, well, we should watch it for this. I haven't heard of Black Roses.
I mean, we could do it for the show, but we had a theme going.
Right.
Oh, yeah. I guess even though we haven't done this at all, Joe.
Well, no, there have been, I usually make you do it when I remember halfway through the episode.
Yeah.
Remind people of the premise.
Yeah, so the premise, and honestly what it's done to me, and I hate to cut you off in the middle of your gush, so I want to do it at the beginning of your gush, JD, so that I don't have to cut you off.
Stop saying gush.
It's a horror podcast, so gushing is appropriate.
Sure.
But when you gush about John, I'd like you to have your full platform available. I don't want to cut into it.
Yeah.
But we were doing a month-long Women in Horror, let's spotlight some women directors in horror. Because there aren't many from the era that we kind of pull our movies from.
I wanted to do the Babadook, and Kane was like, no, that movie came out and has special effects that were done with computers, and we don't do that here. So we're going to watch goddamn Spookies instead.
Well, I take responsibility for this one. I enjoy Spookies, so...
Hold on, no, I just wanted to say, but what this has done is that there are some female directors that are currently involved in horror.
Absolutely.
That are doing some amazing, terrifying movies. And we would be pieces of shit to show Near Dark, I think, is good. Pet Sematary is good. I mean, those are some of the like a couple of horror movies. We didn't cover Pet Sematary this season, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like we've covered some horror movies by women that were decent, good movies.
Mhm.
We need to focus. I think next season we're gonna have to throw 4 episodes of promising new women in horror so that we could showcase some of the amazing shit that's being produced today.
To apologize for Spookies?
To apologize for some, Slumber Party
Right.
Massacre, to apologize for Spookies, to apologize for just life. just life in general. Or just
None of this matters.
just an extended apology for existing. But right now,
Right.
JD, tell us about John Dodds and your love for him.
Yeah, here I go. So yeah, Dodds worked on a handful of TV episodes for a show very near and dear to my heart growing up, Monsters. If y'all remember that show, it came on in Chicago anyway at 10 p.m. Central Sunday nights.
I'm not familiar with Monsters. It might have been before my time.
Probably a little before your time. It was kind of... There was a time when... actually, after Tales from the Dark Side would come on. This is just, local Chicago...
Yeah, it was 1988, right?
Was it 88?
American TV series.
I was 3 years old in 1988.
Yeah, from 1988 to 1991, and then reran on the Sci-Fi Channel during the 1990s.
Sure.
Yeah. So yeah, that was good stuff, but it made my Monday mornings just extra miserable. But it was worth it to watch Monsters. So anyway, Dodds also has several horror makeup credits that overlap with his special effect credits. I try to kind of, because in my opinion, those are two different things,
Yeah.
There's a lot involved with each, not to just sort of like clump it all together. So I'm just making that clear.
There were some really neat makeup moments in this movie and also some really just the pits.
Sure.
Yep.
Couple of decent bladder effects, a bulging vein in the forehead of the sorcerer, just
right.
Cool.
But then there were the moments with zombies where you could clearly see where the makeup began and ended.
Right. Yeah, they got a little lazy with the zombie makeup, but hey.
Yeah.
So yeah, Dodds also worked on some episodes making busts and masks for X-Files episodes.
Bust.
Mm-hmm. And then he worked on a pretty well-known horror film. I'm not completely sure if I'd consider it a horror film, but it is listed as a horror comedy, and that title would be Death Becomes Her, which came out in 1992.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely horror comedy.
Yeah. So then there is effects artist Ken Brilliant, also worked on the X-Files, was in charge of special effects props for Street Trash in 1987. We're going to be hearing that title quite a bit over the next few minutes. Then he worked on The Island of Dr. Moreau.
That movie was awful, but the special effects were very interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, he did visual effects on some of the Sharknado movies. Right. Also worked on the TV show Monsters. And then I can talk a little bit about Ken Walker.
Texas Ranger.
Lots of Kens. Yeah, Ken was a big name in the 80s. It really was.
Yeah.
Well, it would have been the 60s and 70s that the name was popular.
Yeah. Anyway, Walker is known for some bigger stuff away from horror, so I'm going to not talk about that. But I will briefly move through what he did in horror. The Dark Half in 1993.
Excellent.
Yeah, George A. Romero film. He also worked on the TV show Monsters, so again, the overlap there. He did special effects on a sci-fi flick called Robot Holocaust in 1987.
Okay.
Right after Spookies. He was an animatronic supervisor on the film Frankenhooker in 1990.
Okay.
Nice.
And again, with the special effects on a sci-fi horror thriller titled Progeny in 1998. Then there is the makeup artist, Jennifer Aspinall. Well-known makeup artist in the industry, a buttload of TV shows. Westworld is probably one of the biggest, more popular titles that she's been a part of. She worked on Star Treks. Also, she worked on the film Street Trash in 1987. That's all kind of toward the beginning of her career. She was a part of the makeup crew for Toxic Avenger in 1984, so she was, well in with the Trauma crew.
Right.
And she was a makeup artist on SNL.
Nice.
Yeah. And then a very familiar name here on the butcher block, I know we've named him in the past, and I saved him because he's a real badass, and I saved him for the last artist that I'm going to talk about because he has numerous special effects credits, and that is Gabriel Bartolos. Known as a writer and a director, one of his credits as a director was Skinned Deep in 2004, and St. Bernard in 2013. Haven't seen it, but I know it's a horror movie, even though the title doesn't sound very horror-ish.
Right.
Anyway, Bartolos' special effects credits are Crawl Space in 1986. He worked on Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives in 1986. And then a total kick-ass movie, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, also in 86.
You play that slaughter on the radio.
That's what you do.
It's a dog-eat-dog world. Where I'm sitting, there just ain't enough damn dogs. But Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, all right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Those are the best quotes for the fucking movie.
We get the
all right?
reference, Kane.
No, you're right. You're right.
Fucking lippy with me. I will urinate on your shoes.
The only Texas Chainsaw movie that matters is the one from 1993 with Matthew McConaughey.
I will choke you out with your own entrails.
Wild.
That movie so much.
So yeah, he worked on From Beyond. He also worked on Dolls in 1987.
Joe's favorite.
What?
The Outing.
Puppets, Joe. There's puppets in that movie.
Yeah, puppets. Joe loves his puppets.
I do like puppets in horror movies.
Yeah, hell yeah. Program to Kill in 1987. Basket Case 3 in 1991.
I didn't know they made a Basket Case 3. That's awesome.
I love Basket Case 3.
Can we just do a whole season where we watch all 3 Basket Case films?
No,
I'm here for
Because
that.
I want that.
It's great.
absolutely not.
I want that more than life.
There's strong prosthetic effects in all the Basket Case films and lots of gore stuff that I'm
Hell
into. Yeah, it's good stuff. Happy Hell Night in 1992. The Unborn 2 in 1994. Leprechaun 4 in space. I can't believe he made it to space. Him and Jason.
Yeah.
Cremaster 2 and 4. Not sure what happened to 1 and 3. I guess he just jumped in on the even numbers. Godzilla in 1998. The Cave in 2005. And in 2007, another film by the name of Brain Dead. So I could think of 3 films now that tried to be called Brain Dead.
It's true.
2 of which remain named Brain Dead. One that started out as Brain Dead. And y'all know what that one was?
Yet Dead Alive.
Yep, good job.
Yeah.
So yeah, what the
It's almost like I'm on a horror podcast or something.
Almost.
I'm not really paying attention to what's happening right now.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So that's the extent of. I know that the best part of the special effects came with the team of Faulkner and Duran,
Right.
Right.
and the majority of those effects were shot in the initial, the 90 minutes of footage that was accumulated.
And then they just flung together a bunch of garbage.
Yeah.
Well, they weren't really responsible for that, and there's actually some venom there between those fellows and Genie Joseph. In fact, I was reading that. In particular, one quote where Faulkner was kind of like, yeah, I just can't believe that she would, do that to our film. Well,
Sure.
and I'm sure that he realizes it was just business. It was just mostly the opinion of Michael Lee, who he wasn't having whatever they were putting forth. He just wasn't having it. So,
Right. I mean, honestly, but I feel like even if they had gotten to make the movie they were trying to make, it wouldn't have been that much better.
No.
I think the story they were trying to tell made more sense without the other plot roughly sewn to it. And
Right.
it was reorganized in such a way that I think sort of made it be more just tangential and odd. And it set it up to where it's telling a story and then that story gets bored of itself. And then
we get bored of that story.
and then you get
Yeah,
bored
yeah.
of the story, right?
Well, speaking of that, if you don't have any more to talk about with the special
I'm
effects.
finished.
Joe, why don't you tell us about your personal experience with the film?
Yeah, I had not seen, heard, or cared about this movie until I think it was in one of the earlier seasons. JD started talking about how much he loved it and he wanted to do it for Butcher Block. And it wound up slotting into this female director block that we're doing. And I watched it with you about 54 minutes ago. And I had fun. It wasn't a good movie,
No.
but I did have a good time with it. I never want to watch it again.
Unless you're stoned out of your mind, right? Would you?
Sure. If anything, what I would throw out to the listeners is if you like 80s cheese on the level of like your Hobgoblins, then.
Or fucking Rawhead Rex.
Or Rawhead Rex, yeah, like that kind of thing. Like Mystery Science Theater tier 80s garbage horror that has pretty respectable special effects. Then, yeah, have some of whatever your intoxicant of choice is with your buddies and go nuts. Watch
if you're
Spookies.
Vaccinated.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to encourage super spreader events, especially not in the name of fucking Spookies. But if you've taken the necessary precautions
Right.
to engage with other humans in a confined space, then do that. But if that's not your jam, if you're someone who likes good movies made by good filmmakers, then don't watch Spookies ever.
Yeah.
And that's really all I have to say about that.
And I would like to state about the earlier point. Yeah, I agree with Joe. I don't think that even if they had been given the full reign to tell the story they wanted to tell, I don't think any part of that movie was really a good story.
Yeah.
Would it be better or worse than Puppet Master?
Puppet Master beats this movie hands down.
You think so?
In my opinion. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Even in terms of plot, because...
Especially in terms of plot.
Yeah, I mean, Puppet Master has a stronger plot.
Yeah.
In the sense that Spookies didn't have one. It was just a series of events occurring.
That were seemingly linked together.
Yeah.
Whereas Puppet Master had a plot. They also had reasonable expectations for what they could actually do with the puppets, with the budget they were with.
Sure,
right?
sure.
What they had. So they told the story, but it was a story.
Right.
We made fun of that story. We were like, who gives a shit about psychics?
Right.
Give me biker, witches. That's what I want.
But I do feel like, as a fun, bad movie, I feel like Spookies was more successful. Because there were moments during Puppet Master when I was bored.
Right.
And that did not occur during Spookies. I was always looking, well, not always, but pretty consistently. I was looking at something on the screen that I was amused by.
Right.
Okay.
And that's, I feel, why I suggested it. And I'm actually going to, when it's my turn, is it my turn yet?
It is.
Yeah,
If Joe's done, it's your turn.
Yeah, I was actually done a while ago, and then Kane pulled me back in.
With my turn to discuss my impression of the film, what I'm actually going to do is quickly just give my opinion of what I believe Faulkner and Duran intended to do, but weren't allowed to do. I believe the story was that the sorcerer was meaning to revive his bride, or his, proclaimed bride, the bride that he wanted, that she didn't want to be with him. But anyway, he was trying to revive her with the blood of the living. And so those visitors to the mansion were meant to be sacrificed in order to bring her back to life. Somehow she sprung back to life prematurely and decided to reject him. And I'm not sure exactly how the story of Billy's birthday was relevant. And I'm not sure how Genie Joseph and her crew decided to try to thread that together. But anyway, I feel like the story it was trying to tell was that, where it was one of those bring back the dead with the blood of the living and sort of reanimate this person. This would have been a more central character of the plot if that had been the case. But anyway, once things got, ground up and spit back out, now we have what we have, and so...
Sure. I would be interested in seeing the original shooting script and just get a glimpse into what they were actually trying to accomplish.
There was one other character that threw me through a loop, and that was the zombie, or maybe, I don't know what that was, some sort of...
the witch zombie
The witch
lady?
zombie that was
Yeah.
using the board to summon the dead, maybe? I'm not sure. I believe that was what caused the little zombie apocalypse at the end. All of a sudden, the dead rise, and there's just a ton of them, and they're trying to capture the bride that was animated.
This is still, yeah.
Yeah, and again, it's hard because of the fact that this was two movies that were crudely Frankenstein together.
Right.
It was like 1.25 of a movie.
Sure. It's hard to know unless, maybe the behind-the-scenes God damn it.
Yeah,
Maybe
yeah.
the behind-the-scenes documentary gets into this.
I believe it does.
Words are hard.
They are. Language is difficult. It's hard to know where that ends and begins. And that would be very interesting to find out.
I've read that The Real Watch is that documentary about how the film was actually made and the direction that it was taken. I'm going to take that down next. But I recommend to our listeners that they seek that out. And I believe you can find that through. And I don't work for these people, so there's no reason for me to even mention them. But I think it would be worth finding the documentary. But the DVD is being sold through Vinegar Syndrome. It's a little website with hella horror DVDs. But anyway, I may try to find it because I believe it's sold in like a box set with the the little documentary attached to it.
If you watch it, let us know.
I might try to snatch that and because I'm curious now. I'm curious, what was this trying to do?
Right.
Was that all of the personal experience that you have with the movie, JD, or is there more for us to chew on?
I mean, I saw the movie hell a long time ago, and I didn't really remember. You know, it was with my child brain.
Oh, yeah. It's like the gate for me.
The lack of plot was irrelevant. All I remembered about the movie was the Spider-Woman and how much I loved it. So then...
It was good. The Spider-Woman was great.
As you age, your memories change, and what you think was something is completely something else, and that's kind of what happened for me. Then I came at you guys with I was frothing at the mouth over Spookies. I'm like, let's watch this movie again because it's so, the special effects. And, I remember it just getting me riled up as a kid, and then it just disappeared. And so yeah.
The Spider-Woman was great.
And that's another, if I can add one more point. If you're kind of high and you want to watch a stupid movie was my original, like, this is why you would watch Spookies. But if you're a horror fan who likes practical effects.
That I am.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily care about quality of writing or acting or camera work. But if you just like practical effects for the sake of practical effects, then Spookies is worth checking out.
Yep, absolutely.
So yeah, Kane, how about what's your impression of the film? If you can share that.
I really loved the merman creature thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I really loved the Spider-Woman.
Mm-hmm.
There were times where I thought it was funny, like what was going on. Like they were trying to sell us a story that these were a bunch of teenagers when
they were not.
They were not. They hadn't been teenagers.
Who
for a
were
long
these
time.
people and why were they friends?
Why were they friends?
And they didn't behave like friends. In fact, there was more fighting among them than any camaraderie or anything else.
There was a terribly constructed cemetery with these thin plastic cardboard looking gravestones. Like it's definitely not my cup of tea. Like, and I really love children shouldn't play with dead things.
Hell yeah.
Right.
So when you couple my love for that and my kind of meh about this movie's worth watching just for the Spider-Woman.
Sure.
Like if you just wanted to just skip ahead to the point where a guy is talking to an Asian woman, there you go. It's fast forward to that part, press play.
Yeah. Or just fast forward around and just all the parts that seem like something interesting is happening.
Yeah.
It's kind of digested in the same way you'd watch porn. It's not like you're going to follow the plot of a porn. It's like you're just going to go in for, the action.
The moment with the Grim Reaper, I'm not going to spoil it because someone might actually watch this movie, was one of the best things I've ever seen on a screen.
Yeah.
It was tremendous and it's worth the 80 minutes.
We promise you'll laugh.
Just for that
we
moment.
promise you'll laugh.
I lost my shit.
Yeah. Anyhow, I don't have anything else to say. It's not a great movie. I probably won't watch it again unless I'm stoned.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'll probably watch it stoned.
I'll come to Ohio and reef you.
And honestly, even if you're stoned, if you've seen Spooky once, I'm not sure if it's worth watching again.
Yeah, it doesn't get any spookier.
It is.
Yeah,
if you're stoned.
All right, can you guys think of anything else to say?
No, I actually said a lot of things, and I think I'm
Tank
satisfied.
is empty.
All right, cool. If you guys watch Spookies, if everyone that's listening, all of you listening, watch Spookies, we're fucking sorry.
Yeah.
At least you got to see some dope special effects at the end.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But let us know what you think. You can find us at WeGiveYouBrainworms.com, as well as most of the places podcasts live. And speaking about that, if you listen to our podcast someplace and you have the capability to follow us or like us or leave a comment or a rating, please do so.
Yeah, anything that tells us how much you like us is good.
Or dislike us. Let us fucking know how you feel about us, because
We're into feedback.
we want to know. We'd like some feedback from you.
Sure. Send JD your feet pics on Instagram.
Oh, now it's
Nobody
turned to
sends
feet?
free feet pics, Joe. No
Yeah,
one
I'm
sends
not
free
paying
feet
for that
pics.
either. I'm not. Yeah.
I just like creating situations where JD might be made uncomfortable.
Sure.
That's not cool.
It's
We know
understandable.
that people need to send scabs, boils, fungus, those kind of things. all right?
Warts.
Ingrown
Yeah, fair
hairs, botfly, maggots, those kind of things. all right?
Sure.
Right. Lesions.
We're not trying to sexually harass our coworker, Joe.
And I appreciate
That's
that.
fair.
Yeah. Do.
But yeah, send us a message.
Yeah.
Also, we warn you against forgetting to like,
Ooh, that'd be
follow,
bad.
and subscribe on YouTube.
And click the bell.
Oh yeah, click the bell.
Do what he says.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Dust in the wind.